I want that trash.
All right, let's keep moving. All right, is this the ass opener of the week then?
Yes.
Okay. All right, here we go. The game we just got done watching not too long ago was a 4-0 victory for Bournemouth versus Chelsea. Unfortunately, Bournemouth did not win in possession with 32%. Chelsea did win possession with 68 though. 12 shots with 7 on goal for Bournemouth. 11 shots with 7 on target for Chelsea. Jacob, where's my question? Is there a personnel change needed in the lineup with the players that they have, or do they need to bring in players to figure out the Chelsea?
To figure out the Chelsea.
The Chelsea, because are you here for the Chelsea?
I actually think that they hired the wrong manager. I think that Mauricio Sarri is much too rigid, and he's like, obviously he doesn't play the same as Mourinho, but he's basically as stubborn as Mourinho is without a winning system, in my opinion, at least in his time at Chelsea. I think it was either the prior episode that we recorded or the one before where I talked about how like relating it to Pep's first year at City, where he was it last episode? Yeah, where like he was super.
It's not gonna be the last. It's like the last. You know what I mean? Because we recorded just one. Sorry.
Okay, yeah. I mean like the last regular episode. Yeah. Where Pep was super rigid and like they played the same way no matter who they were playing, no matter when they were playing, no matter who was hurt. You know, whatever. I'm not gonna hit the gun again. Whatever. But I think Sarri's fallen into that trap, and he doesn't seem to be able to manage his way out of it. He hasn't learned yet that he needs to make tweaks depending on, you know, what team you're playing and how they're set up against you. There never seems to be adjustments. Like Chelsea were 1-0 down, I believe, at halftime. And were they 1-0 down? Yeah, Josh King scored the first goal right before halftime. There was no tactical changes. If you look at the game against Arsenal last week, like you can see sometimes what the specific problem is, but there are no adjustments made either like with a substitution or with the personnel on the field, like a tweak to the formation or whatever. There's never any adjustments made. Just like, go do what you need, like go play. And it keeps coming back to bite them. And I would specifically why I think Sarri was the wrong guy is what he's been saying after the last couple of matches, that like he's finding the squad tough to motivate, and like that's his job. Like if there's anything that the manager is supposed to do, is like his job is to motivate those players and get the maximum out of that.
Yeah, he should be very public with what he's saying about that stuff. Like same with the Pochettino with the stuff he's been saying the last couple of weeks. Just like, yo, keep that to yourself, dog.
Yeah,
like we don't
and he got no response out of that. Like he came out after the Arsenal game and said like, hey, I'm having a hard time motivating these guys. Like these players don't seem to have the drive. And then here they come in the next Premier League game and they get pasted 4-0 by Bournemouth.
I think after this game, one of the Robbies were talking about like, oh, this is a Bournemouth team that's been leaking goals. But I think from the transfer window, bringing in Nathaniel Klein has been a big difference for them. I think putting Smith on the left side and starting him in those games has been a good transition because they've been starting like a whole slew of guys, and then keeping Cook and Aki together has been very beneficial because the last 2 games have been clean sheets. Even the game before that, I think they lost to Brighton, and you can see the difference because I don't think Aki started in that game at all. So having that consistent backline for them, I think has been better for them, and I think that's not a good statement because I don't think they're the same team even like from a month ago. It just seems like they're just a totally different team.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think Bournemouth was well deserved, and Chelsea played into their hands. Yeah, played into their hands, and then with Arsenal, it was kind of like the same thing with Arsenal last week, where it was just like they had the ball, got into the box, but nothing happened. You know what I mean? Honestly, I think something's going on with Hazard. He's not the same Hazard of like the beginning of the year or the start of the year, where he's really creative on the ball, was able to touch the ball more than his usual rate is, but he hasn't been really creating anything. And then I think I was told to you, I was like, I don't think Higuain is going to be that much of a change for them. I think there's other positions where they really need to improve. because of just change.
Yeah.
I think Jorginho's needs to get out of that spot.
I don't understand it.
I would have him more upfield to create more chances than bring Conte back.
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
I don't understand his obsession with playing Conte as like this like forward moving midfielder when he's like literally the best defensive midfielder in the world. And Chelsea have become super predictable in both their tactics and even their substitutions. Like if Willian starts, it's Pedro that comes on. If Pedro starts, it's Willian that comes on. It's Barkley and Kovacic that switch in and out. And Hudson-Odoi wasn't in the lineup or like on the bench, but like Hudson-Odoi is normally like the third sub. Or like Giroud, when they had Morata, it was Morata for Giroud. And then now they have Higuain. Now it's Higuain for Giroud when they make a sub up front. And then when they bring Giroud on, they don't cross the ball into him. So like I don't understand like what the...
It just seems like they just need to make some tweaks around the squad. And I get what he's trying to do, but it's just not working. And like another thing too is like you were doing that in Serie A. Serie A is unfortunately, no offense to Serie A, but only like the 6 teams in that division or league kind of are great tactically. The other teams are just they have a good day, but that's it. You're going to be able to roll through them with a good squad. Like
and it was also at a time I think where Serie A, the rest of the bigger teams in Serie A were struggling. It's like Milan is struggling. Inter was. I guess maybe Inter was about where they are right now.
Well, regardless of like his even from now it's like the time in Serie A, like Napoli, of course, was going to be a better side because those two squads teams were nowhere to be found anyways.
Right. Yeah, and I think that by some miracle, I guess it's not really a miracle for him, but if Chelsea don't make the Champions League, I don't see how he stays.
Yeah, I think he's gone.
And Roman Abramovich has a track record of firing people really abruptly. So I think that if Chelsea don't recover here, I think Arsenal caught them on like whatever the second tiebreaker is. 'Cause I think they're level on goal difference. United are right at their heels now. I think Chelsea and Sarri could be in trouble.
Yeah.
And if they don't make the Champions League, I mean, Hazard's gone. The Higuain is just alone. They have, if that happens, then they could be like when we did our last transfer episode, I was talking about like a lot of teams, who are going to miss out on normal Champions League teams that are going to miss out, stuff like that. Chelsea could be one of those teams that get picked apart a little bit if they don't make the Champions League.
Yeah. For a second.